Welcome back to Key and Jay Booked Podcast. I am your host, Jay, along with my co-host, Key, and we are going to get in our second episode of The Resort by Sara Ochs. I don't even know how to say, is it Ochs? Because I don't want to say her name and mess it up.
I know. I feel the same way. I feel like authors should include a phonetic pronunciation of their name. There's so many books I read, and I'm like, I don't want to butcher this person's name. Like people butcher my name all the time, so I'm so sorry. I have no idea. I just been saying.
Nah, you good. You good. Same thing. I was saying Ochs, and I'm like, I hope I don't butcher her name. And you get people in the comments talking about, no, it's this and this and this.
Exactly.
Listen, we don't really know how to pronounce it, but we left off when we started off with the prologue, and we started off with chapters 1 through 5, and the book is starting to get spicier as we reading it. And Key, she kind of brought us our first book out, so I'm just excited to get into this book again. So we can start off with chapter 6. Well, how do you feel? How do you feel today thus far? What's going on? How's everything? I
feel fabulous. I finished a book today already, and I'm so excited to get back talking about The Resort because today we're talking about chapter 6 through 10, and let me tell y'all, it gets heated. Like, it gets spicy, like stuff is happening. So I cannot wait to talk about this book.
Yeah, chapter 6 through 10, definitely it's starting to pick up, and we starting to learn more about Brooke and Cass, and we get more into the story. But first, just to let you guys know, for the listeners out there, we're going to be dropping every Tuesday and Friday from now on. It's going to be every Tuesday and Friday. You can expect us on YouTube and all our social medias, and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. So if you're looking for us, you can catch us on Tuesday and Friday every week. We're going to be bringing y'all new material, and Key has a lot of things in store and planned for the podcast. So I can't wait till y'all see and hear her ideas and kind of see what she got going on for us and how we're going to grow. But let's get into chapter 6, man. We starting off with Brooke.
Yes.
So you go ahead.
So in chapter 6, we discover that in the previous chapter, in chapter 5, we discovered that Lucy was found at the bottom of the ocean. Now, we didn't yet know, though, if Lucy had accidentally drowned or if her death was a murder. However, at the end of chapter 6, it is deduced that Lucy was murdered. She did not drown, and she is the second woman to die in less than a month on this Thailand island. So, you see the rhyme, Thailand Island?
Right. Clever. I see you there.
I got it like that. But yes, that's the biggest thing I took from chapter 6 is that we now know that Lucy was likely murdered. It was not an accidental death like the girl in the beginning who apparently accidentally fell off a cliff.
Right.
Lucy was indeed murdered.
Right. When I was reading chapter 6, it was a couple of things that I took from chapter 6. And we have Brooke talking about, just the aftermath of the party. Like, she's doing it from her perspective now. So she's there chilling. Now, all of this is going on, which I love how Sara kind of brings this together, because all of this happened already, right? But now we're going back, and we're seeing when Sara, I'm saying Sara, I'm calling the author's name out. We got to see Brooke's version of, okay, it happened on Cass' side, so it already happened. So we know what happened. Now we see it from Brooke's point of view. She's like, yo, what's going on over there? And I like how the author just turns that right around. But then we get Brooke's perspective where she's talking about something totally different, where she's beefing with a girl, Barbie. Not really. It's more mischievous. When she was talking about the social media female goes by the name of Barbie, and how, she kind of wanted to use her platform to try to get something out and get these things out. And I'm like, okay, so you got a riff. We'll call it a riff, not a beef, a riff with a another social media female over a posting. So I thought that was it was small, but it was minute. And then we get to them talking about, her and the bartenders kind of talking about the insane party the night before. She was also talking about how Frederick, I like how they say it's not Frederick, it's Frederick, how he works how he works his staff hard, to keep the place tidy and clean and stuff like that. So I just liked how we get to see it. And then, they're coming out the water. So now Brooke is noticing them coming out the water. So when she sees them coming out the water, she's like kind of frantic, going over there to see what's going on. They kind of explain that Daniel has a diving injury because he came up too fast, and that was one of the things that they didn't want to happen.
So they just not do that.
Right. And they was moving around everybody because we know that she died, but Brooke is going to find out through Cass that Lucy is dead, and this is the person who came at her the night before. So I thought that was a good way of them bringing in like the point of views. And then we got Doug. Doug, like Brooke said, Doug wanted to take charge of the whole situation.
He did.
Kind of giving out, you go here, you call 911, you do this, and almost like first aid CPR training. You go get this, you go get that, you call 911. So, but then Brooke, one thing I want to say is, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but Brooke felt like she wasn't a part of them. She felt like in this moment, like, I don't feel like I'm a part of y'all group. So now let me insert myself. And Doug ain't really like that. He kind of like tried to brush over her in this chapter. And I'm like, okay, so Doug ain't really feeling her like that. But this was kind of her way of kind of weaseling in and then seeing how she could fit in with, I forgot the name, what they call themselves, the backpackers.
The permanents.
The permanents. I said the backpackers, the permanents. How she can get in with the permanents. So that was kind of really a summary of chapter 6. We just opened back up. Everybody's kind of coming into the realization that they just found Lucy.
Yep.
So now we go into chapter 7 and we switch over to Cass. So you want to start off with chapter 7?
Absolutely. So chapter 7 starts off with Cass. She has just come back after realizing that Lucy was dead, and she is, of course, getting worried. I mean, someone sends a note on her door that says, "I know who you are." Now someone winds up dead. It's someone that's in her diving school. So of course she is afraid. She doesn't know how the two events are connected. And things that I picked up in this chapter, number one was Cass admits that she did know Jacinta. If you remember, Jacinta is the hiker who died on a cliff after falling off a cliff at the very, very beginning of the book. She's mentioned. And previously, Cass is like, she told Brooke, "I have no idea who she is. Like, I don't know." And in this chapter, she admits she did know Jacinta. We don't exactly know how she knows her, other than the fact that she lied about being an acquaintance of her, which I thought was very interesting, because I'm like, why are you lying? What is there to hide? Why do you lie about knowing this girl? Secondly, motive. I think motive comes into play in this chapter, because the resort cannot afford bad business. I don't think people clearly understand that the permanents are essentially like glorified tourists. They decided to settle in Thailand, but they live on a resort. If the resort keeps getting bad press, Jacinta's already died, right? Lucy's now dead. What are the permanents going to do if they don't have business? So I loved the fact that Sarah kind of introduced a motive, because I was seriously wondering who would kill Lucy. She hasn't really done anything in the story yet that warrants her being like unalived or anything like that. So I was like, who would kill her? But this is motive. She's looking into a suspicious death on the island. The permanents, I feel like they have a motive to shut her up. You know what I mean? Because if she keeps talking about it, she keeps bringing publicity, then what? Then the resort loses money. What are they going to do? All these people had got away from something. Cass mentioned in the beginning that her husband, Logan, he doesn't talk that much about his past, but he had, I don't want to say trouble, but something happened and he escaped to Thailand. Neil kind of discusses at the beginning of the book to Brooke, like, he escaped to Thailand. We know that Cass escaped to Thailand. So what happens when the permanents, when their seclusion, when their safe space is threatened by a tourist?
Yes, and I feel like even when they found the dead body and everything is going on, and Cass is kind of looking at them pull Lucy out, and then they kind of talking, and then she said, "As a man who doesn't speak English is going to let them know about the body." And I'm like, okay, so this dude probably getting paid off by, you know what I'm saying, by the people. You know, I ain't gonna say no names, but he probably getting paid off by the people, and to keep this under quiet, because she said he speaks no English, pretty much little to no English. Brooke is like befuddled as to like why the police didn't question Cass. She kind of was the diving instructor, and kind of Doug dismisses her, and they all kind of trying to talk, and they want to see how they can handle it, because they want to lay low until Frederick comes back. And Brooke, just like I have a state over here where it says Brooke just said, like, to the other women, Brooke and Cass kind of console each other. This is where like they're together, but only from one person's perspective right now, where where she kind of consoles her because of everything that she's going through. And then in Cass, she said Cass reminds her of Jacinta. So I was like, why is this girl? And it's something that's going to happen. I just have a feeling. And then, like you say, she's felt like she shouldn't have lied to Brooke about not knowing Jacinta. But I guess I think everybody got something to hide, because there's just too many secrets going on in this book right now. And then they're kind of like just dismissing Brooke, you know, and then finally Cass comes forward and she says she's seen bruises on her hand. She's seen marks on her neck. You know what I'm saying? She's seen a cut on her forehead and around her body. And they're like, no, you didn't see that. That was possibly just trauma that happened.
Yeah, and the water messes with your head. You probably couldn't see. But Cass was very, very particular. What she saw looked like a handprint. And she comments something like, yeah, as if her face had been held underwater. And it brought me back to the prologue. Remember how we were like, who is this girl? Who is this person who died in the prologue? And we seen that someone pushed her head under the water. So it got me thinking, is the person in the prologue, is that Lucy? And then it makes me want to go back and read it. So we'll see if I can pick up any clues, because Lucy in the prologue, she was just like, I'm only here for this one person. Like, she's the reason I'm here, blah, blah, blah. She's on my mind, as, you know, she slowly, it fades to black, you know, making it seem like she did die. And now Cass sees marks on the back of Lucy's neck. So I was like,
Right. What's going on?
That's suspicious.
You don't find that suspicious. But again, it's like her friends is just like, nah, you ain't see that. You probably was hallucinating and everything. So much trauma going on. You know, you probably just need to kind of settle down. And, you know, they kind of try to dismiss it from everything. And then they finally head home, right? They finally head home. And we finally get the reveal object that was next to Lucy in that water that Cass found. And it was her fiance's ring. It was her fiance Logan's ring, and it had the encryption. Is it encryption? I think it's you know what I mean.
Not the idea.
The engraving said "Forever Us Two," and I was like, okay, now we getting into it. Why was this man ring? I told you I might get a little animated now. Why was this man ring
next to the body?
In the body? Like, come on now. Now, obviously, it's too early, because if they giving us if she's giving us this, she just want to point the finger at Logan. Now we're gonna just keep pointing the finger at Logan. So now we honed in on Logan. Meanwhile, but where's his ring? Like, how does your ring end up right there in that one spot? How did this girl? So I was like, okay,
yep, let's move. This author is so good. I just want to point out, at leaving you on a cliffhanger. Like, every chapter is like something explosive happens at the end, and it's like you have to keep reading. I have to stop myself. Me and Jay give ourselves assignments. We're going to do 1 to 5. Yep. 6 to 10. I wanted to keep going after chapter 10, because every single chapter is on a cliffhanger. Keep reading
every single chapter. Facts. You ain't lying about that.
I want to add this too. My respect for Brooke in this chapter skyrocketed. I feel like she was the only one asking those hard questions, like you said. And it was the permanents that kept shutting her down. No. Right. But she was asking important questions. They're not even going to interview Cass. Cass said she's seen this. What's going on? You know what I mean? Right. And I have so much respect for her in that moment, because she's an outsider, but she is not afraid to speak up. Like, something's going on, and I'm going to say something about it. So, yep.
And as we're going to find out here, through chapter 8, when we start off, we saying Cass is going home with Logan, because they kind of wrapped it up in chapter 7. It was like, everybody head home for the night, and we'll basically reconvene. You let them talk, let the police do their job, and we'll reconvene in the morning. So as they're going home, this is when Brooke realizes, like, Cass is going home, and she realizes that she would like to be like Brooke, because she's like, Brooke would just come out and confront this man about his ring.
Like, Logan, why the hell is your damn ring at the bottom of the ocean next to a dead girl's body? And I'm like, girl, you better question his ass. Like, why is his ring there? And she says something like, I just really don't want to lose what we have. Like, I'm scared to ask him. And I'm thinking, okay, so you don't want to lose what y'all had, but you're okay, like, not knowing whether your husband murdered this girl or not. Do you really want to sleep under the same roof with the murderer? I was so mad at her in this moment when she was like, I'm scared to ask. Like, why?
Chapter 8 kind of pissed me off with Cass, because we learned a little bit more about her. We know her mother passed away from cancer. We know something happened with her father in the hotel.
Yep.
On that fateful night, we learned that he had a nice little trust fund. We also learned that trust fund went to the grandmother, but then when the grandmother passed, it trickled down to Cass.
Yep.
And obviously something happened, because she was basically like cast out of America, but not physically, but through media.
Whatever had happened.
Through the media, through the news outlets who was covering it. Like she said, they was outside of her grandmother's house for months, you know, plastering her on every platform, and she just couldn't take it. She wanted to be a different person. So that's what kind of drove her over to Thailand. You know, and then she talks about in this chapter how, you know, when she got a chance to meet everybody, and it kind of just felt like a new place for her to start over throughout the chapter. So this was kind of her giving us her beginning of
background
when she came over to the island and how she met Logan, and how could he have done something so egregious, you know, because she's so in love with him that she don't feel like he can do no wrong in her eyes, because how he accepted her, or how their first time hooking up when she saw the look in his eyes. So she's just overlooking all the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? All the red flags, and she just literally trying to get down because she love this dude. And I ain't mad at her.
Yeah, like, yeah, stay down for your man, but he's not your man yet. Y'all just engaged, one. So that was the first thing. Y'all just engaged. Secondly, again, she says at one point when she's talking about her journey to Thailand, which I love that the author gave us some backstory, because I really was like, you know, how did she meet them? How did she come to the island? She said something that I thought was really, really peculiar. She says she had to hide out and people were harassing her after what they thought I did. Now, she didn't say after they found out what I did. She said after what they thought I did. And the reason why I pay attention to stuff like that is because what they thought you did could be different from what you actually did. And like you said, the fact that she had to hide out in her grandmother's house and then she eventually had to flee to Thailand because they wouldn't leave her alone, it's making me think she might be innocent, because she says what they thought I did. So that's why I'm just like, what did they think that you did? You know what I mean? And I can understand how she feels in this chapter. Like, it's something about like feeling like you have nobody and then finding that person after you felt alone for such a long time and you don't want to lose him. So even though I was angry at her, I was like, bitch, like, your man could be a murderer.
Be a murderer, you want to lay right next to him. Right.
I'm like, I get it. You alone in this strange country. It's no other Americans other than the permanent or the tourists. You don't want to disrupt the situation that y'all already have going on. So I get it, but I still thought the girl was dumb. I'm sorry. I was
no. She definitely was stupid. She was stupid throughout this whole, because she's like, well, maybe I did imagine these things because I took a Xanax. That doesn't make you forget anything. Like you trying to, she's looking for an scapegoat to not blame her husband in order to kind of just brush it under that he wouldn't do anything. Then he gives us this dumb excuse about him having body paint all over him. And what is body paint being all over your chest? Because he has a tattoo with a link around it that's not finished or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's the body paint. And this kind of just made me, so the body paint made me take my ring off, because I can tell you right now.
Wearing on the necklace. Remember, he said he was putting the body paint on, and the necklace must have become unclasped and fell off. This is what I'm gonna tell you something. I got on the necklace right now. Let me show you something. This necklace is from Shein. It's not even a high price necklace. I wear this necklace almost every day. I'm rough with it because I'm a rough girl. I just be. It ain't never broke. The class ain't never came unbroken. I was like, girl, you gonna just sit there and believe that excuse? He's like, oh, well, the class just came unbroken. I dropped it at the beach. And she was like, oh, thank God he gave me an explanation. And it just so happened, literally, it was the ease at which she accepted his excuse. She didn't question it at all, Jay. She wasn't like, you know what? But that sounds a little, no, she gobbled it up. And like you said, she was looking for any kind of excuse to excuse what he did. And I was just thinking, girl, like, that don't even make sense. He just lost it at the beach, and it just coincidentally is next to the dead girl's body.
And under the water.
And under the water. He said he lost it on the beach. And
under
then,
the water.
Like, huh? You believe that? Thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, whatever point I'm making. I want to point out, did you see the author again use Xanax?
Right. As to Xanax make you forget.
Is the third point of view in this book. I'm convinced. Like, what is it? It's like she pops a Xanax and she just doesn't remember shit.
Right.
Like that medicine does not work
like that. It don't do all that.
You don't just forget whole events. You don't forget what you've seen, like, come on now. Like, but she's an unreliable narrator, and I understand that that's just a plot device that this book uses. But I'm like, Xanax, like, it just grated on my nerves every time she was like, oh, I feel so guilty.
Right.
I popped the Xanax. I forgot. Like, girl, it don't work.
You ain't forget. You ain't forget. You just, you didn't imagine it either. That's the thing. You didn't imagine it. You know what you saw. You just trying to take the heat off of everybody else.
Yep.
So that was pretty much summing up. That was a good one for chapter 8. Now we moving to chapter 9. We're moving back over to Brooke. And it's about to start shaking. We find out that Brooke worked in a newspaper at college. She couldn't get no work as a freelancer because she didn't have no accreditation. She didn't have no degree. She dropped out of college. So she had to make social media work. And then she realized it. So, we get a little bit of backstory about Brooke. We just said it stuff. She dropped out of college, so she couldn't get no writing job, no media, you know what I'm saying? No freelancing job. So I think that she like, yo, this is my big break. I can solve the case.
Yep.
Detective Brooke. I feel like in chapter 9, Detective Brooke was formed.
She was Detective Brooke. She's a journalist. We already know she has a writer background. She makes some comment like, yeah, this is even better than the story I was planning to write. So that would let me know she's there for a very specific reason. She's not just there vacationing. You know what I mean? She's not just a social media influencer. There's a reason why she's in Thailand. Perhaps to write a story. I'm like, does she know Jacinta? Does she know the person who went missing? What story could she have written? Because the only thing I remember happening so far was Jacinta and then Lucy dying. But of course, Brooke didn't know about Lucy. Lucy happened after she got there. So, but I thought that was interesting. That's another little nugget of information that we know about Brooke now, is that she used to be a journalist. She is there trying to write a story. And in this chapter, she gets to investigate Lucy and where she came from and kind of like what happened to her.
And this is where it's like, okay, now she get a text from Brooke and they agree to meet. So I'm like, okay, they agree to meet. So now why is Brooke? So she leaves in the middle of the night. So obviously she's not believing something that Logan said. So they agree to meet, you know what I'm saying? They kind of go into talking. And then she said, "There's nothing wrong with you know what I'm saying, with her nurse. It was accidental, but she won't bind it.
She won't bind
They
it.
said that the autopsy came back and nothing was wrong with the girl. They call it accidental drowning. She hit her head and then she drowned. She had too much to drink. She might have been under the influence, and then she hit her head at the beach and drowned. She won't buy that. She was not buying that from the beginning.
Didn't believe it either. But as you can see, Cass is a little bit of a pushover. She's just willing to believe whatever is easiest. So I'm really glad in this chapter you get to see Brooke's influence on Cass. You know what I mean? I feel like Brooke is a natural leader, Cass is a natural follower, and you get to see Brooke convince Cass to help her get the information to break into Lucy's room. Like I said, Detective Cass and Brooke to the rescue.
Right. And then they come to find out like that her name wasn't her name. First of all, they find out that they couldn't find anything. Well, they go on a search. They go to her apartment, right? Or her, what's her name? And she is like, well, first of all, why the room look like this, right? And she's like, no, this is a free room, so they don't clean up until Saturday. They only come and clean once a week. And they're like, well, she wouldn't have left this. She's like, first of all, it was 2 toothbrushes. So I'm like,
toothbrushes. Who else was in that room?
Okay, so who else was in the room? So when she said it was 2 toothbrushes on my eye, so maybe later on down the line, they're not gonna show it now.
Right,
maybe it's just an Easter egg. Yeah, a little Easter egg. You know what I'm saying? That they figured that she would have. So then after that, they found her ID.
Yep. And it does not have the same name on it that she registered at the dive school.
Right.
Same first name, different last name. And it's like, she's just a tourist. Why is she over here using a different name? Like, that's weird, you know?
And we find out her name is Lucy Duncan. Or Duncan. And she's from like what, New Zealand or something craziness like that.
Yes.
We found out that she's from New Zealand. And then we find out another thing. Brooke reveals, you know, she knows Cass has money. She can tell by the way she act when she first saw that she has some bread, you know, but they also in between that, they know that her room has been tampered.
Yep. They can see it's been tampered with. I want to also comment on Brooke in this chapter. Something that I noticed about her is she also makes assumptions about people that she doesn't have proof of. Like there's one part in the chapter when Cass tells her, hey, the police said that Lucy died an accidental death. And Brooke automatically is like, what is his name? Frederico? Frederick. She says Frederick paid them off. I know he did.
Of course.
And I'm not saying that he didn't, but she didn't know Frederick. She didn't really know what happened. She didn't see the body. Cass could have been hallucinating. We know that she's on Xanax, you know what I mean? But Brooke just puts this out there. He paid them off. How do you know he paid them off? It could have been Doug. He was the one that was having a conversation with the police anyway. True. But she just makes these assumptions. When she said, I can tell that Cass had money. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't tell that Cass had money.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? Like she doesn't live like an outrageous life. She doesn't have like a lot of stuff. She works at a dive school with the money that she supposedly has. She shouldn't even have to work, but she is. How did Brooke just assume that she had money? So I just wanted to say that I felt like, I don't know if it was just bad writing or just Brooke is supposed to be super smart, but she often says things without any kind of proof to back up what she says. And I'm just always like, I'm not saying she's wrong, but I would have liked to see her find something that backed up these claims that she was making. Because she would just say stuff. And I'm like, you don't know that that's true. But she seems kind of bossy. She seems kind of know-it-all. So maybe that's just her character. True. She knows what she knows and that's it, you know?
I got you. And then that kind of ended off chapter 9. And then we get into the last chapter for this episode right here. And this one is like, I was like, okay, they got somebody coming through the door or trying to jiggle through the door, right? And because they still going through her stuff. And, you know, they just figure out that she's 18 years old.
She's 18.
Right? And I'm like, first of all, why is an 18-year-old digging
where are
this
your
deep?
parents?
Like, where's your parents at? You just turned, did you just turn 18? Because
you did.
First of all,
your parents know you all the way over here in damn
right,
time.
exactly. So I'm like, why is she 18? But that might be another fake ID. She might have more than one fake ID. I don't know what's real and what's not, because it's just a lot going on right now. You know what I'm saying? They found her car. They realized she is from New Zealand. And Cass think the person who killed Lucy wondered if she is the same person that's actually looking for her, trying to get to her. So Cass is just really like paranoid right now. I think that's why she came back out, because she needed some type of clarity, because she was paranoid.
She is. I mean, she should be. Someone's leaving notes. I know who you are. Soon everybody else will know who you are. People are ending up dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the end of this chapter, she swears that somebody's in the doorway. Someone's rattling the door while her and Brooke are hiding in Lucy's room. So she's involved somehow, some way. She should feel paranoid. And you would think it would make her smarter, but she's not. She's just Logan. But yes, chapter 10 to me was absolutely crazy. Like you said, find out Lucy's using a fake name. Also, Cass, she said this earlier in the book, but she keeps repeating it. So I feel like the author really wants us to pay attention to this. She makes a comment that Brooke, you remember when Brooke said at the beginning, like she had got rid of her accent, whatever accent she had. Cass keeps saying, there's something about her accent that seems familiar. There's a part of the book where Brooke wipes off her makeup, and so she takes off her eyelashes. Right. And Cass is like, there's something so familiar about her. I'm like,
what's happening?
Like, is this the clue? Is this the clue? But she keeps saying it. So I'm just like, dang, do they know each other? And then there's parts of the book where Cass is like, oh my gosh, Brooke is like my best friend. Like they're holding hands. She's consoling her. They're really, really super close, you know? And so that's why I'm like, man, like what's going on? Because you recognize her accent, but you don't recognize her face. So I'm like, what is it? But she said that. And I think that Cass and Brooke have some kind of connection, because she keeps commenting on the fact that her accent sounds familiar. She looks familiar without any makeup on. So I was like,
I thought that she liked her. I got Cass Myers Brooke for some reason. Really? I wonder if she like her, you know, because she just like bossing up. Like, I don't know. I just was like, I don't know. Maybe they might have some interaction, some sexual interaction later, you know, because she just admires her from afar, like talking about her boldness, her ferocity, her go-getting spirit. This is what she think, seeing it from the outside. So I was like, all right, I don't know. Maybe they
see it though. I could see it.
Maybe they might like each other.
They was holding hands, like
console. She was the first one to console her.
He told her
when she saw her, she broke down. When she saw her, I'm like,
none of her other friends, but she saw Brooke and started crying.
So no,
maybe, and the thing is, the only thing stopping me from thinking that is Logan. The fact that she is so in love with him, and she's just like, I don't want to lose him. I can't see her jeopardizing her relationship with Logan for a tourist, for Brooke.
Love is in the air. Love is in the air.
I feel like Sarah's got a lot of stuff going on in this book. We don't know. Love could be in the air. Like, is this an LGBT book right in time for Pride Month? Maybe. Right, or like literally, maybe we picked the right book, you know,
during Pride Month. I'm with you on that one. Yes. I'm with you on that one. And then they take her ID. They looking for her on social media.
Yes.
They trying to find something. She said it was like I'm just 20,000 Lucy.
When they look up Lucy.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You know what I'm saying? Another way. But then they found her. They found her on social media. She only had 5 bot followers. And then she was following 7. But all of these people was from the resort. They was mostly all the permanents who she was following. You know, she had Dava shop printouts. You know what I'm saying? She had to come. Like, I'm just lost as to now, why is this girl continuously, like, she is a staple of this book. I don't know how much Jacinta is going to be in this, but now that Lucy's gone and she's dead and all of this stuff, she's just following them people at the resort. Somebody knows something and they knew it and they took her out. We just don't know who.
Because there's a reason why she's only following the people from the resort. And like you said,
why?
And why? Cass and Brooke are in her room and they actually discover printouts of every single person who works at the resort. So the people that work at the restaurant, the people that work at the dive, including Cass. She has a picture of Cass as if she's looking into her. And it's just like, what is going on? And then the fact that Brooke sees something on Instagram that causes her to flee at the end of this chapter. So Brooke and Cass are trying to find Lucy under the guise of, we got to tell her parents,
Right.
you know, and they're really looking into her. I feel like Brooke is looking for a story. Cass is like, is this related to me? So they both have their individual reasons for investigating. Brooke finds Lucy on Instagram, and then she quickly gets up and says, I have to go. I have to go. So I'm just thinking, what happened? What did she see on Instagram? What did she see that caused her to be like, you know what, I gotta go? Cass's feelings was hurt. So I think maybe they do got a little something going on.
Telling you.
Brooke got up and left, and Cass was like, my feelings are just so hurt. She's always been there for me. She's never left like this, except for one other time, and I'm just so hurt. And I'm like, girl, like, y'all just met. Like,
why you feel so strong about it?
Why you feel so strong about it? But Brooke gets up, flees, you know, she's like, I'll talk to you later. And then the chapter ends as Cass sees something black go by the window. And this is really important because in the previous chapters, when Brooke and Cass are hiding in Lucy's room, they hear the door shaking. Somebody's trying to get in. They can't get in for whatever reason. I really didn't understand this part because I'm like, how did they not get into the door? Like, Cass literally just kicked it down. Why couldn't this person get in? But whatever. The person just could not open this door.
Right.
Whatever. Though the person flees, Cass and Brooke flee to the window and they see somebody with a hot ass black sweater on. Now, Thailand is hot. Ain't nobody wearing a black sweater. Nope. Ain't nobody wearing a sweater. Not a black sweater, period. Unless they don't want to be seen. So at the end of this chapter, Cass sees something black go by the window and she runs to the door and throws it open. And that is where chapter 10 ends. But do you see how Sarah leaves us wanting more? Like,
because I definitely want to finish reading the book for real.
Literally.
For real. If y'all don't check this out, man, The Resort by Sara Ochs or Ochs, however, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get the name. I'm gonna get the name of how you say her name. If y'all don't, y'all gotta tune in, man. We just gave y'all 10 chapters, and you know we giving y'all the book, but I mean you can go and read it for yourself, listen to it on Audible, and check it out. Like, this has been, she's really throwing me. I don't know who's the killer, and it's always the ones you don't expect.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like ones who might have overheard something. And I don't want to make no accusations yet, because I don't want to jump out the window and be like, Greta did it, and then Greta died in chapter 14. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm like, I gotta come back on the pod and apologize, or people might be in the comments like, no, you wrong. You mad wrong too. Like, you're mad wrong.
You wrong. You way wrong.
And I'm like, I don't even want to throw nothing out there. And she just try to make it seem like it's just all these other people. So, you know, I don't want to get into it, and we got to just continue reading.
She does a really great job at creating suspense, at creating all these characters, and you don't know what their motives are. And I'm intrigued. I'm invested. Like, I'm invested in the story. I'm invested in the mystery. And that's how I judge my mysteries. Am I invested? Do I want to know what happens at the end? I absolutely do. So I'm just chapters 6 through 10, whirlwind, have my emotions in a tizzy. Not even going to lie. Everything crazy is happening. And I can't wait to get to the next 5 chapters, because I know, like, it's heating up, y'all. It's heating up.
And I'm trying to stop. Like, I got to the point today, and I was like, no, I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. I was in the gym listening to the book and writing my notes, because I go into it and I write it in my notes in my phone, and then I send it to myself via email so I could have it on the Word. And I was just like, nope, you can't go no further. You gotta wait, because I want to read it, and I want to read it and just kind of go with the flow. I don't want to jump to the conclusion, because then I might be going through TikTok and like, let me just make a video, you know? And I ain't got nothing to say on the pod, and I'm like, I'm just sitting here, and you like, yo, you did the video. You weren't supposed to do the video. It's like, I don't want to jump ahead, man. But
yeah, you can't be jumping ahead. That's cheating.
I know. But we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Y'all see this. This will be what, on Tuesday. So the next time y'all see when y'all see this, we'll be into chapter 6 through 10. Or when you listen to this, and then we'll be back, and then y'all get a new version, 11 through 15. We'll be 11 through 15. It'll be released next Friday. And you know, once Key kind of get down, she'll have the calendar for those who you know want to keep up with us on the calendar and know what books we read, and then maybe y'all can keep up with us, so that way y'all will know where we're at. You know, y'all have a full schedule of what we're going to talk about. I know you're going to get some people to be like, why did you spoil the book? Listen, we told y'all got the calendar. So look at the calendar.
Y'all will know exactly what books we're reading. Y'all will know what chapters we're reading. And that way, if you ain't there yet, you can start at the beginning and start at chapters 1 through 5. We don't want to spoil it for y'all, but we are talking about the books. So there will be spoilers. If you haven't read the chapter that we're on, don't watch it, because I don't feel like nobody complaining. That's what we're here for. We're here to discuss the book. But we would, like he said, like Jay said, we would absolutely love if you guys would join us. We're on YouTube. Comment, put your thoughts, listen, and say, who do you think it is? You know, we love engagement. We want to hear your ideas, and we may even take some of your comments and discuss them on the podcast. So you never know.
Right. And until next time, this is Key and Jay Booked Podcast. She's that reader. I'm just a seer. Peace.